Hey, what's up, stream keepers, and welcome back to my channel. And in today's topic, I actually wanted to share with you guys about a topic that I wanted to expand because of a comment or a request that actually came from a breeder out there. He actually wanted to understand more in depth of what is the difference between a soft reset and a hard reset and translate it into a partial or a full reset for people to understand it better. Like for example, a partial reset would means that it is a soft reset and a full reset will be a hard reset. So it means the same thing. However, before we go into today's topic, I actually wanted to give a special shout out to Gary Brewster, who has been a very um, great, I think, very experienced breeder who has been breeding streams for many years, and he has recently shown his red stardust, those two females that is buried, and it is really awesome because the colors and the size of the stream, it is one of the things that we actually look at when we do our judging. Like for example, color and size. These are the two main contributing factor on a grading perspective. And colors and size means that, for example, colors, it means the body color, and of course it also translates to the legs color. So streams with legs color, uh, that will immediately gain attention because the colors of the legs actually contribute, or we actually say that it is actually the soul of the stream, because you can have a very full body stream color. However, if the legs are transparent, then it's going to be very uh it's going to be really off in that sense, because it makes the stream actually kind of like stand out, and it shout out to say that, oh, my legs do not have colors. And it is something that we often seen if the streams are not selective bred and it is being massively produced, and these streams are continually keep breeding and breeding. And of course, there is no right or wrong in that sense, because there is always a segment of breeders, or even stream keepers that wants to have streams that are not that expensive, and they have a budget that they want to keep to. So definitely, from that perspective, I think that is fine. But however, from a judging perspective, from a grading perspective, colors and size, these are the two main things that we actually look at while we are grading our streams. So in today's topic, let's go right into this topic. In terms of soft and hard reset, or partial or full reset, when do we do it and when we don't do it? And does it mean that um, the duration of the time for reset has to be at a certain period of time? So actually, the long and short of it is that after many years of doing a lot of reset and things like that, we realize that like for example, is it that we have to reset at 8 months, or do we have to reset at 12 months, 16 months, 18 months, or 24 months? So what is the ideal number that we actually have to do a reset? So technically, there is no ideal number. Like for example, what I do is that I will set at 8 months at the or 12 months for the reset to happen. However, if anything, during the course of the the breeding season, or the breeding tanks, there need to be a reset maybe in month 5. Then you have to do a reset at month 5, or you have to reset at month 8 or month 6. So there is actually no hard and fast rule on when do you actually need to do a reset. An end date only shows or determine where it should not cross. However, anything before can be done as well. So I think that is one of the things that when we first learn about this hobby, a lot of people get into this trap and saying that, okay, I have to reset my tank at month 12. So regardless of whatever happens to my tank during the period of time, I do not reset my tank because the tank is good. I just change water. Even if the tank crash, we don't do a reset. So I think that is something that that needs to be understand deeper, because the number of months or the duration of the reset is not an end date. It's just a time where you have to do a reset. So anything that happens before, you can do a reset as well. So for example, does it mean that after 8 months I will do a reset? Definitely. It also depends, right? However, I would always encourage people to reset their tanks uh, as and when they can do it, because every time you reset the tank, the entire ecosystem has been replenished, everything is being restarted, everything is brand new. So it actually helps in terms of the water parameters as well. So anything that is wrong or anything that you want to get rid of, you can actually take the time, the opportunity to get rid of. For example, if you have seed streams in the tank, you have worms in your tanks, you have planaria in your tanks. So these are some of the things that, what I'll do is that if let's say it happens, you do a hard reset. It means that you do a full reset, you let the tank really, really, dry out overnight at least, brand new soil in there, make sure that the soil is that you have gotten the soil from a trusted source. It's not used soil, it's not repackaged soil. That is very important, because you wouldn't know what is actually happening in terms of where you actually get the source of the soil. So an open packet, a trusted source, I think that is very critical. So one of the things that when, like for example, if you have planaria or anything, do not worry that much. So you can actually reset your tank and then have it a hard reset. What I do is that I actually throw away all my mosses in that sense, to make sure that there is no inhabitants or anything that I would actually transfer to the new tank. Um, so that I will do. And then for example, if once I cycle the tank and then I want to introduce new mosses, I will take some mosses from a good cycled tank, a mature tank that I've been using, I will transfer it over to that side. So one of the things that I wanted to actually share this time round is that the between the partial and the full reset, when I do what, one of the things that I actually look at is, like for example, if I started a new tank, and I realized that after 40 days, after 6 weeks, I put the streams in and they don't look really, really, active, and they shouldn't be that way. And then I will then, move the streams to another tank and then do a partial reset on that new tank. I'll do that partial reset, uh, which means I'll vacuum out the soil together with the water, and then after that I'll put in new layers of soil, and then I will put in the water and then let it cycle again. How long do I need to cycle that tank? Actually, it really depends. You can do your ammonia nitrite nitrate test by 3 weeks or 4 weeks, because there is already beneficial bacteria in the tank, in the water column, in the soil, not in the soil, but the potted soil, with the plants, and of course the filters that I use, they are not 100% brand new. So there is already beneficial bacteria that is able to actually convert ammonia to nitrite and nitrite to nitrate. So in that sense, I will do a partial reset. When do I do a hard reset? So for every one or two, every second partial reset, I will do a full reset. So the next one, I will do a full reset. And why do I do that? I think one of the things is that it helps with eliminating anything that could actually inhabit in the tank. For example, there can be additional dendritis worm. It can be some things that you don't want, right? So that's what I do currently in terms of a process standpoint. For every two partial resets, I will do a full reset on the next one, and it has helped me in terms of keeping my tanks really relatively clean from any stuff in there. Then also the streams are also very happy breeding and things like that. So coming back to where I wanted to share this, this time duration on when to reset. I think that is very critical. It is not cast in stone, so you really have to observe whether the streams are actually doing well before you decide, do you want to do a full reset or hard reset, or soft reset. So one of the things that I actually share a lot to local breeders here in Singapore face to face is that when you a lot of us, we have a lot of we can measure ammonia, nitrite, nitrate, pH, KH, GH, all these parameters. We can really measure this, but it does not mean that if all the parameters are right, the streams will be happy. And I think that is a fallacy, and that is something that I wanted to share more, is that there is always an additional side to it. And that additional side actually brings out the stream's color, the activity, the breathing, and all that. And those are the soft water parameters, which I've mentioned in one of our videos. The soft water parameters, which includes, microorganisms, the plants are living well, there are biofilm in the tank. So these are some of the things that actually help to contribute to the to the liveliness of the stream, and the willingness to actually breed them. And does it mean that every time when I reset the tank, I'll be able to achieve that? The answer is no. So what I do when I don't get that in the after a reset, after a cycle of 40 days or 6 weeks, what do? I reset again. So that's what I do to make sure, to ensure that the tanks are really ready to get the streams into the tank. And does it mean that after six weeks after I cycle my tank, it will be no, after a reset I put the streams in and I think it's good and I put the streams in, does it mean that the streams will be happy? No, it's also not. So you have to use an observation, and if they are not happy, you have to have additional tanks ready to actually move the streams over so that the streams are happy. So I think the long and short of this is that it is very critical, it is very important to actually observe rather than stating that okay, you have these parameters and this and that. There's another additional information is that if you know your tank is cycled and you know your water when you do your water test, it keeps showing that you have zero nitrate. I think that is something that you have to actually look at into getting other brands of test kit to actually get it tested, because there are many test kits that misfire, right? So that you will have to actually get through a new box of test kit, or even another brand of test kit that you will actually get the real results of that. So I think that's all I wanted to share in this video. The long and the summary of this video is actually to understand what is the difference between when you want to do a soft reset or a hard reset, or partial or full reset. And of course, then the duration of when you want to do the reset is also critical of that. So do not bind yourself, or you do not think that it is always 12 months. I can have the streams there for 12 months and that's it. So I think that is something that you really have to observe and see whether the streams are really happy. If the streams are not really happy, they are not breeding, just move them to another tank, reset the tank, and restart again. The more times you do it, the better you get it, and the better you get it, the streams will be happier as you go along. So thank you very much for watching this video, and if you are new to this channel, please remember to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and until next time, peace out.